You are listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of No Other Pod. I'm Jimmy, as always, with my newly clean-shaven friend, Daniel Kooser.
Clean-shaven. You like my soundboard? We need a soundboard.
How's it going?
Dude, what's good? Hey, life's good, man. Everything's going well. Had a busy ass weekend and excited to be back on here with you, man. Preseason is upon us. You can just smell it.
Oh, we got lots to talk about. The Sporting KC preseason roster and schedule has been announced. We got more details about Apple TV and the MLS Season Pass. There are roster rumors and Peter Vermees quotes that have me titillated about possible additions.
So, if you don't know what that means, it's Jimmy's titties.
And I know you were very excited to watch your beloved Georgia Bulldogs stomp all over TCU, right?
I don't really care. I don't get into the SEC hatership or anything like that, but
you're an Alabama fan.
Well, you kind of wish someone would have been in that game to hold their own a little bit more, I guess. Yeah. Pretty sad for TCU players.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, pretty sad.
What a time.
Yeah, it's hey, it is now college football season is officially done. We're moving into NFL playoffs and all that stuff, but it's almost soccer season, man. We are less than 2 weeks away from the first Sporting Kansas City preseason game.
What are you doing on your weekends with no soccer? It feels weird, right? You got to get into the KC Comets mood.
Yeah, we went to that Comets game. I'm a big football fan, so I do watch football when it's not soccer season.
You were watching football at the KC Comets game.
That's true. Chris and I, we had fantasy vested interests in the Dallas Cowboys game that was on at that time. So we had it on our phones while we were watching the Comets.
That's so strange to me. Fantasy football. I can't do it.
Hey, your boy won first place in his fantasy football league this year. So maybe
what's that do for you?
There. It's
money. You made some money?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like $60 or something?
No, a little more. So
well, you're not sharing your salary. How much was it?
It was a decent little bit. So
okay, I don't know why it's so secretive, but all right, we're moving on.
I don't want the people coming for me.
For you. Yep, he won $1 billion.
That's what it was.
Jesus.
If for those of you who have not yet left a 5-star rating and review, we don't have any new ones this week to talk about, but we appreciate those of you who have done it. So go on and do that if you haven't yet had a chance to do so. We appreciate it. And like I said, we got lots and lots of Sporting Kansas City news to talk about here, not the least of which is Sporting Kansas City has announced the schedule and roster for the 2023 MLS preseason. And some of the details, just to get it out of the way here. The team is kicking off preseason training 2 days ago, as of when you're listening to this on Wednesday.
That's right.
They are already in Phoenix, Arizona. They will be there until February 8th. They will return. They're going to be there from February 8th, and then I guess they're coming back for their customary mid preseason break, and then they'll return February 15th to 24th for their last tune-up against Phoenix Rising FC and a little bit more training before they come back and start the Major League Soccer season at the end of February.
Pretty exciting, man. Had a whole list released about some trialists that are down there and some SKC2 and Academy people. And there's no one I really noted that really stood out to me, but
I haven't seen a Frifa on the list yet. He might be, I don't know if he's
back. He's in school.
Yeah. So he's not there right now.
I think he'll join at the end of school.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. That's right. There's a note. It says MLS 2023 Super Draft selection Stephen Afrifa will return to FIU for the spring semester of his senior year and will be placed on Sporting KC's college protected list. So he would probably join, I would guess, SKC2 in the summer.
Why do you think SKC2? What are you talking about?
I mean, I don't imagine that a college player is going to come mid-season.
Selling a man short
right into the first team.
You sold Tyler Freeman short, and look what he's doing. Nashville, baby.
Yeah, there's some of those academy guys have gone on and had nice little careers elsewhere, and
no doubt.
Sometimes that happens. You just need a change of scenery and you move on. So, but you're right. There's a few trialists here. Our second MLS Superdraft pick Chris Rindov, the defender. He's going to be as a preseason invitee. So he does not yet have a contract.
Oh, that's right.
The biggest news, I guess, to me as of now is Nemanja Radoja, our midfielder that we signed, who can also, per Peter Vermees, I almost called him Vitor Vermees right there, just totally accidentally.
Jimmy's broken. Reboot.
Nemanja Radoja, who can apparently play center back as well as midfielder, is with the team in Arizona.
He's here. They had that whole stadium thing. I always like when they put their name on the board, the big board, welcome Nemanja Radoja, and he's like
the jersey.
Gets the big picture and stuff, and has a little press conference. Dude speaks quite a bit of English. Mm-hmm. I watched the presser, and some stuff had to go through a translator, but other stuff not at all.
Yeah.
So still, that's up in the air if you want to have him on the podcast. I mean, we could be in big trouble, so I don't know.
For those new guys, usually the club's like, give it a little bit.
Well, I think a language barrier would absolutely be there. There's no way.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I know we've talked about this a little bit before, but I don't know that American sports fans realize how different the relationship is between American sports media and professional athletes is from the rest of the world sports media, like European sports media and soccer players. If you're an EPL fan, you'll see sometimes how after the game, there's a player or two who will get a quick interview with a reporter sort of in front of one of the backdrops, a step and repeat, if you will. And that's about it. Basically, nowhere else in the world do we get locker room access as media like we do here in the United States.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's why you do it, man. You like it.
It'll be interesting to see, that's where some of these new players, especially who have the language barriers, that's where that relationship starts to get built, is in those post-game locker room interviews. And as long as they're not totally caught off guard that all of a sudden a bunch of unathletic dudes are walking in with backpacks and microphones to ask them questions while they put their clothes on.
That's true. Is that why you try to stay in a little bit of decent shape so you can at least go in there and not look like a complete turd?
No, I just try to get in there, get out, do my thing, stay out of the way. So, but it's fun. You get to see a different side of the players in there.
Try not to make eye contact with anyone that doesn't have clothes on.
But the preseason schedule, Saturday, January 21st, there is no information about whether these will be streamed. Oh, no. I guess they do say it's closed door scrimmages, so we're probably not going to see any of these online.
Right. Nothing was even announced about the Tucson Cup, the Desert Diamond Cup
Cup.
So I think that sometimes those get streamed. Sometimes
I don't know if it's a thing this year, or if it is, maybe we're not officially participating.
Yeah, maybe we're not. So, that's weird because it was always kind of nice to see an actual game, but also know that it don't mean shit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. They do say for live coverage of the club's 5 preseason exhibitions, you can follow at SKC Matchday on Twitter. So we're only playing 2 Major League Soccer clubs in the preseason. It's the Portland Timbers on 1 p.m. Saturday, January 21st. Then a week later, we're playing Grand Canyon University at 12 p.m. on Saturday, January 28th. Then we got Louisville City FC on February 4th at 2 p.m., RSL 1 p.m. on Wednesday, February 8th, and then come back to Kansas City before finishing up in Arizona against Phoenix Rising FC as we normally play them, 12 p.m. Saturday, February 18th as the final preseason tune-up.
So that's not part of a cup or nothing. That's just
they did not indicate
preseason
that
stuff.
Yeah,
interesting.
Did not indicate that, but I don't know. Preseason is always an interesting thing for me because I'm excited because it means, hey, we're almost there. But performance in preseason isn't necessarily a good one-to-one indicator of what performance in the regular season will be. There have been some years where Sporting KC has basically not done anything in the preseason. They've been just fine in the regular season and vice versa. So,
well, I'm just, man, a couple of big things I'm excited and looking forward to for this season. And I think the biggest thing that pops up when looking at this roster list, Sporting had to be some assholes and list how many seasons players have been with SKC. And Zusi and Roger are like, you don't have to tell people our age. Like, why are you doing that? But I think it's really cool that, Roger and Zusi have been there for 14 and then 15 seasons.
Yeah. It is pretty wild.
Veterans to the core.
14th and 15th season. Outside of that, Tim Melia
Someone's been there for like 8.
The next most tenured with Sporting KC. This is Melia's 9th season with SKC, although he's been in MLS for 14. So he's an older head too.
Right.
Had some time obviously with Chivas and as an MLS pool keeper and all that stuff. You know what's crazy to me is that this is Daniel's 8th season officially with the club.
It's kind of wild to think about.
It's like one of those things where suddenly you realize that, like, holy shit, people born in 2002 are going to be of legal drinking age this year. And I'm like, that's not, the math doesn't compute there.
Well, hey, I challenge you to, like, scroll this roster and look at the position battles that are going to unfold this season. There are literally players that you can match up against each other and be like, these are the reasons why that person will get that spot, and these are the reasons why that person won't. As compared, the battles, like, is Kyrie going to be a super sub? Will he fight for more spot on the wing, or freaking right back? I think is the biggest storyline. I'm pumped, man. This was good. I needed this week.
Yeah, it's interesting, and Peter didn't talk about position battles explicitly, but what he did talk about in some media availability recently was off-season training program. And I think the thing that you don't really know until you get players in camp in preseason, and this is really for me what preseason is mostly about, what's their fitness like? Can they run for 60 minutes? And by the end of preseason, will they be able to get up to running for a full 90-minute game? Because he said, I was very clear at all the exit interviews, we always provide an off-season training program, and it is imperative that they all follow it to a T. And if they don't, they better make sure they are as fit as a fiddle, because if they are not, 2 things. They put themselves in a bad position coming into preseason when it comes to getting on the field. And number 2, if there are any of those players, and I'm hoping there are none, but if there are, they will be doing extra work throughout the week so that we can build a foundation for them before they actually get a lot of real playing time.
Listen, if you've been around the team for a bit, this is preseason broken record Peter Vermees. I mean, he says this every year.
Sure.
Of course, there's a training plan, and those who aren't going to do it, naughty.
Right. But it's one of those things where that's where I think, somebody like Graham Zusi or Roger Espinoza, you could look at their age as maybe like, well, that's going to make it that much harder for them because their body's maybe a little bit worn down or whatnot. But they know better than anybody what to expect from Peter Vermees and what his expectations are for them and how to get on the field. Some of the younger guys, sometimes I think we see, I think this was maybe the case with Marinos Janis, and I know he was a new signing last year, so it's not exactly a one-to-one comparison, but when you don't really know what Peter Vermees' expectations are for you, whether it's in terms of fitness or on the field, and you can't live up to them, you get in the doghouse real quick, and it's real hard and takes a long time to work your way out of it.
Yeah, there's a certain level of expectation here for the level of play that Sporting likes to play. They call it Sporting Fit, and it's like, well, that's a fun word, but it's really just called being a professional athlete,
right?
And being set, having to set that standard. So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our listeners probably know this, but if you're new to Sporting Kansas City, or maybe the Cristiano Ronaldo news sort of perked your interest, and you're like, well, I'm going to check out Sporting KC and see what this is about. So maybe you're one of the newer listeners that's joined since we've joined Kansas City Sports Network. The SKC plays a very fast-paced, very high-pressing style of soccer, which means that their forwards are pushing up and trying to, like, it's like a full-court press in basketball, if you will. They're trying to make the defenders make mistakes. Forwards for Sporting Kansas City are expected to run back and play defense. That's not the case for all teams. So when they say Sporting Fit, they mean this because there is an above-average distance run by Sporting players, game in, game out, compared to other teams. So it's very crucial, especially when you only have a maximum of 5 subs in a game, that players can go a full 90 minutes. So
yeah, man, they talk about that. They put everyone through the beep test, like that first week of camp or whatever. And if you guys don't know what that is, there's literally a metronome style beep, and it kind of beeps back and forth, and you have to run between 2 points and touch that line before the beep. And it goes faster and faster and just starts to eliminate people.
Yeah.
Do you have a side stitch just thinking about it?
Oh my God. Like I think about, I never played soccer at a level where we had to do beep testing, but I think about like in middle school basketball or whatnot, when you're doing at the time, I don't know what they're called now. It's an
33s, bro. Down and back 3 times in 33 seconds.
See, they called them suicides for us. They probably aren't called that anymore, but like you'd start at the baseline and then you'd run and you'd touch the free throw and then back. And then you'd run and touch the 3-point line and back. And then the center court back. And then the opposite free throw and back and full court and back. And you'd be sprinting the whole time. And
but were you timed?
Even just one, and you didn't want to be last. You never wanted to be last. But even just one, I start feeling the side stitch and they'd be like, okay, great. Now we're doing 5 more. And it's like,
we were timed, dude. You had to go down and back the length of the court in 33 seconds 3 times. If you didn't make it, we're getting on the line again. You know what I mean? I'm like, that is a terrible business model. I know you're tired, but surely you'll make it this time.
Like I physically can't do it.
We would also shoot free throws for these bitches. If you made your free throw, we're not running. If someone missed a free throw, we're all running. It's like, God,
I can drain a free throw.
Guess who made the fucking free throws, bro?
Yeah, I can.
Didn't make it in the game. I was too nervous.
I might not be fast, but I can shoot. So
that's how it is. Then you get mad at your people. Oh, blame so-and-so. They're making you run. I'm like, that's not good teamwork.
Yeah.
No. Like now we're just mad at each other.
I was the Nikola Jokic guy who looked like a loaf of bread running down the court, but then would inexplicably be able to make a distant shot. So
what the hell? like a corgi just running down.
Fitness is going to be huge. And then also, you know, there are a lot of interesting position battles here, especially since, you know, in the middle of last season, we have Eric, Tommy, and Willie Agata come in and basically establish themselves as, if you were somebody who were to just watch at any random time, you'd look at that and you'd be like, oh, they are clearly established starters. Well, now you have 2 designated players who are working their way back from injury. You know, Peter said Gadi Kinda and Alan Polito are still building towards getting on the field, but they're close. So this is only going to add more competition and intrigue to what actually happens here.
Oh, yeah. And now, you know, your job's not secure at all. It's not like you came in and won your position. You know, you came in and did a great job. And I feel that they, you know what, they haven't been through Sporting KC preseason. So we'll see if they can cut it. See if they can cut the mustard, baby.
I'm going to guess they can.
Okay, well,
so based on how well they did at the second half of last season. But, you know, this will be the first time in more than a year, really, that Gadi Kinda and Alan Polito, if they're able to be full participants in preseason, get actual game-like soccer, because they obviously were shut down due to injury for the entirety of the 2022 season. Vermees says that they're not in any rush to get either of them back. He says maybe one or both could be ready for the first game, but he won't be too quick to put them in. And I think it helps that you have Agata and Tommy there that can hold down the fort. But I don't know. It'll just be really interesting to see how position battles start to shake out and what that first 11 looks like on opening day and what that 11 looks like a month or 2 into the season, because I'm not sure that it'll necessarily be the same.
I know it exactly.
But in terms of roster acquisitions and potential other signings, I've seen some Sporting KC fans in our mentions. You've probably seen them too, where they're like, "This is it, really?" And I think that's a little bit harsh. I think the team, even as constructed now, could compete. But Peter Vermees did have a quote. He said, I'm feeling pretty good. We do have one more acquisition. I'm not going to talk about what position right now, but we have one more acquisition that we'll be making. We probably have some other announcements that'll come down the pipe here of some other players that are close to being done. I'll just wait until they're done, because I've been in a position where there's some that pull out at a last minute, but we've got a couple more there. And then there's one other position that we're working on. So it's a little bit of interesting wording how he does it there. Yeah. But what I hear
to think about
is there's one that's almost definitely coming, who we are pretty sure we know who it is, that we'll talk about here in a second. And there might be as many as 2 other more, so maybe 3 more signings potentially coming in. And
man,
that's pretty interesting. Coming,
that's expected. I mean,
yeah.
couple more things are probably needed to come down the pipeline. So we'll see what positions they're for, man. That's exciting.
I would assume one at least is a center back.
Mm-hmm.
Peter has expressed a desire to maybe bring in another forward if he could, which I think was exemplified by trying to get Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
This other one's a little bit interesting. Over this past week, I'm sure you saw, there was rumors that German left back Tim Leibold, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, was coming over from the Bundesliga to Sporting Kansas City. And even just yesterday, on Tuesday, there was reporting coming out of Germany from Manuel Veth. He covers the Bundesliga for Forbes, that HSV has announced the departure of Tim Leibold and that the left back is headed to Sporting KC. The transfer should be announced soon.
Wow. So there you go.
He's 29. Transfer Market says that he is primarily a left back, but he can also play left midfield and central midfield. His market value is about $1 million. So left back, let's talk about that. That's an interesting position I didn't necessarily think was high up on the list because you have Logan and Denbe and Ben Sweat there. So this is maybe an interesting move.
Do the math though. How many times? Who played at what? How many games? Like it wasn't a consistent starting spot. So Peter obviously didn't, like, even when Ndenbe was hurt, that position was kind of up for grabs. And then he came back and didn't slot right back in.
Mm-hmm.
So Peter obviously thinks that, wow, I don't have what I need at this position.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. Ben Sweat's getting a little older. He's had some serious injuries. So if Ben Sweat were to go down with an injury, even Logan and Denbe missed some time last year with injury. So this could be a little bit of injury insurance. We also know that Peter Vermees likes to play players. He likes utility players, people that play at a variety of different positions. Mm-hmm. So it is possible that this could be a pseudo left back / midfielder based on Transfer Market.
Yes.
So,
but will they have the skills that Ben Sweat had in the final third?
Ben Sweat, man,
he did work up there.
He was one that he was either incredible or he was driving me crazy. There were some moments where I was like, how is this man on a Major League Soccer team? But then there were other times where I was like, this guy could be a starter for most teams across the league. So
man, let's snip that little quote of yours for when we have him on. How is this man on a professional soccer team?
No, Ben Sweat's a solid player. I just don't know if I want to rely on Ben Sweat as a day in, day out starting left back for a team whose goal is to compete for MLS Cup. If he were to come in the 60 or 70th minute as because he's got all the energy in the world, as an energetic, physical defender who could sort of muck things up and frustrate the other team, I think he's perfect.
Yeah, but then he'd get up to the final third and cook those outside backs, man.
He could.
He was fun to watch up there.
That's where he'd get in trouble, though. If he got that far up, sometimes he had trouble tracking back.
Okay.
So I'd be curious to see. I don't know much about Tim Leibold other than he's 29 years old. So we'll see. But interesting stuff, man. You can feel it. We're getting so close to actual Sporting Kansas City soccer. It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
So I do want to talk about some of the other major announcements that are coming for MLS and whatnot. But first, want to give you a little message from some of our partners at DraftKings. The NFL playoff picture is locked in, and my go-to place for wild card round action is DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off the road to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, all new and existing customers can get a no-sweat bet each day of the wild card round this weekend. Just place any NFL bet of your choice, and if it loses, you'll get a free bet back up to $10. Action so good, why bet NFL playoffs anywhere else? I don't know if you've ever bet. I mean, you're in Kansas. I work in Kansas. I don't know if you've ever bet on DraftKings or whatnot, but it's pretty easy. And they got all sorts of crazy parlays and stuff that you can do all the time. So.
All the time. I'll check it out, man. you sold me. That read was just like,
So those of you who do want to use it, you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code NOOTHERPOD for new customers who can bet $5 on the NFL and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code NOOTHERPOD. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. You can see our show notes for details.
You're supposed to read that last part like really fast, like terms and conditions.
Terms and conditions will be in the show notes.
Yeah, there you go.
So, do you have anything else Sporting Kansas City related you want to discuss in terms of preseason or anything before we move on to talking about MLS Season Pass?
Nah, dude, I'm an MLS Season Pass expert. I'm excited. I love this thing. Okay. I'm ready for it.
So you're an expert. So you've learned all the ins and outs, the details, everything that's coming with this new streaming package.
Oh, yeah, dude. But Apple gives a great freaking quality anyways. So, like, right there is number one reason to be excited about this thing. Yeah. Second is how much it seems like they're actually investing into this content. Everything from their content producers, hosts, analysts, commentators, blah, blah, blah. All the way to their like extra shows, kick around shows, analysis shows. Clubs are going to be expected to put out like freaking different video packages and stuff. Like they're going to be expected to up their individual video content. I had read that some teams are already doing this. Other teams are really going to have to catch up because that's like what's required with this deal.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Sporting Kansas City had the interesting pseudo streaming package, if you will. It was free for people who were within the geographic area.
Yeah,
last year.
Spoiled. We were spoiled last year. No one has something like that. We were spoiled.
That was unusual, and it was because of all of the the debacle with Bally Sports Kansas City and losing streamers and it being so difficult to have a reasonably priced way to watch Sporting Kansas City. So they just kind of basically, I don't know the legal dealings that they did, but they essentially found a way to get out of their broadcast contract in the last year and just self-produce games. And there were some hiccups that we have talked about before, but by and large, Sporting Kansas City found a way for people in the geographic market connected to Wi-Fi to be able to watch games for free. It's not going to be free anymore. I forget what the pricing is, and it was like $80 a year or something like that. If you're not a season ticket member, yeah, season ticket members will get it. I think included.
If you're on the fence about getting season tickets and you're pretty sure you'd like to watch every game, then just get like the cheapest supporter stand ticket for season tickets, and you get this package.
Right.
That's like, I'm excited.
It's a good deal. It's a
great.
really good deal.
Now you have Apple TV, so that gets you a little better deal since you're already a subscriber there.
Yeah, I forget what it is. It's a little bit off per month, but this will be essentially the first American professional sports league that I'm aware of, major professional sports league.
You can get it at $79 a season.
Okay, that's where the 80 that I came in. And is it 100 for other people?
100 for non-Apple TV subscribers.
Okay. So that's a little bit more than ESPN Plus was for the entire season, but you didn't get in-market games with ESPN Plus. You could only watch out-of-market games.
Exactly. There's no blackouts here.
Right.
So like you can watch every game. Like this is the MLS fans package, dude. Like I'm so pumped. Someone in LA could be watching us. You could be traveling to LA.
Right.
And it picks up your location and you can still watch sporting.
Right.
Look at me, dude. I'm cheesing. Like I think this is gonna be great. The video quality is gonna be great.
Sure.
They announced a bunch of names we're about to talk about that just blow your mind. It's cool.
There were times when there was a time when I was traveling and I had a layover in Dallas, right? And I was like, I'm out of the SKC market. I'm an ESPN Plus subscriber. This is great. I'm actually going to be able to watch the Sporting Kansas City game on my phone on ESPN Plus. Forgot they were playing FC Dallas that week. So I was in market and it was blacked out. And I'm like, I paid to watch this. I'm finally out of market. And I'm in the one city that doesn't work that week because that's where we play. That's all going to be gone with MLS Season Pass.
See, you sounded so frustrated right there. Like no one will ever have to feel like that. And this is like what, a 10-year deal that they signed with Apple?
Like $2 billion at least.
It's insane. For a decade through the freaking World Cup, next 2 World Cups,
right?
We get to watch on Apple TV. And I know everyone's like, oh, okay, money bags. And I'm like, no, I'm not money bags. I just have season tickets.
But also so this is the first major American professional sports league that I'm aware of that is going all in on a streaming provider as their primary television distribution platform. Like obviously there's MLB TV, but again, Local games are blacked
There's
out.
blackouts.
NBA League Pass, again, I think local teams are blacked out, or you can buy individual teams, but again, it's expensive. And then obviously there's an NFL Sunday Ticket streaming option, but you have to technically be a place where you can't get DirecTV, I think, unless you fudge it a little bit.
Yes. You just named a bunch of like hurdles and obstacles, and it's like this doesn't have any of that.
And they're all hundreds of dollars. This one maximum is $100, at least for the first year.
Yeah.
So it's good. Some
or
of the
80 or free.
Right. Some of the analysts that we will get include Taylor Twellman.
Pause. Sorry, you right at Taylor Twellman. I got to shout out our friends over at Pac Northwest Supporters, SKC. Yeah. They tweeted us, happy that we're not going to have to see Taylor Twellman on our screens anymore from ESPN. Oh. And it was AJ Styles from WWE. And then it was like the Undertaker behind AJ Styles. And it said, Apple TV signing Taylor Twellman to the MLS situation.
I mean, when he announced he was leaving ESPN, we all knew it was because he was going to Apple.
Yeah.
And he tried to credit to Taylor, because he tried to send a little misdirection. He's like, there's nothing in the can yet. I don't know. Maybe I'll go to a front office. Maybe I'll take some time off. Maybe. And it's okay, Taylor.
He took some time off. 5 days.
We all knew. Why would
this was last week.
Yeah. He could. Honestly, he is maybe, to the casual MLS fan or just casual soccer fan, he's probably the best known name out of any of these people who are sort of anchoring the Apple TV MLS soccer coverage. If you're familiar with soccer, you know a lot of these other people, but just a casual person's probably Taylor Twellman.
I'm big into enthusiasm and a voice as well, and he's got that for like a commentator.
He does.
He gets me excited. He's not a homer. He's consistent for both teams, but that's what it'll be different, right? That'll be different this year, because some home broadcasts, you can tell they're absolute homers.
Sure.
I know Nate Bukaty is in reality, but he tries to stay non-homer,
Yeah.
But sometimes it comes across he's excited, and
that's fine. We've said before,
we won't have that this year.
I think Nate and Jacob and Allie did a really good job of giving you a little bit of the homerism that you wanted without being so blatantly homer that like you can't take them seriously. I thought they straddled that line very well.
I wonder if we could get one of them on here to talk about the media deal, or how that affected them in any way, and that'd be interesting.
Possible. I know our partner at KCSN, Allie, said that she was told there actually aren't going to be sideline reporters at this time, which is interesting, because I think that's something that we see across American professional sports. Is we're used to that construct of play-by-play commentator, color commentator, sideline reporter who can get some more of the in-game action and report.
They don't have that in Europe.
They don't have that in Europe, no. So Apple is kind of clearly following more of that European style. But Allie got great stuff from Peter mid-game. How many times would you think if we're getting Peter at halftime coming off, or she'd hear something between Peter and Carrie and Zoran or whatnot, and she'd be able to report it back to Nate and Jacob. So we're going to lose a little bit of that.
I understand it. I don't hate it, except for the mere fact that like jobs are eliminated. You always hate to hear that. Just kind of sucks, but sorry, I had to interrupt you on the Taylor Twellman thing. Our Pac Northwest supporters had a little funny.
It's very funny. But Taylor Twellman, he's probably going to be the main anchor personality, I guess, if you will. And then I'm not going to read every single name here. Some of them come from other teams. There's some from Minnesota United, some from Nashville. There's some from DC United and New England. And then there are a couple former players. We have Marcelo Balbao, Sebastian Letou, Bradley Wright Phillips, and Diego Valeri. I think
Marcelo Balboa.
I'm sorry, I said Balbao. I was thinking Bilbao, like the club, and
I understand. He's a well-known name. I didn't want people to think you were a buffoon.
I appreciate it. Yeah, Balboa. It is not Bilbao, the club, which I'm probably saying wrong anyway. And then Jillian Sakovits, she's a well-known personality who's done stuff with the league in Atlanta United. And then Max Bredos, who he used to be with ESPN and then with LAFC for a while. So there are a number of quality announcers that are coming, and they're going to have
You didn't mention Bradley Wright Phillips, Diego Valeri, Sasha Kleshin, like ex-players, dude. Sebastian Letou. It's crazy the names they got attached to here, and Lori Lindsay, for God's sakes, man, played 14 seasons and was a World Cup team. So
yeah, there's going to be some match analysts, there's going to be studio hosts, and there's going to be play-by-play commentators. So I assume the match analysts are basically the color commentators, and then the studio hosts will do sort of the kick around stuff and the pre and post game and whatnot. So this is going to be really interesting. You can subscribe. It looks like starting February 1st.
So do you like this then? You haven't really given your honest opinion on it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm kind of a sports business nerd, and
aren't you kind of an Apple nerd too, though?
I mean, I'm fully invested in the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah.
Now this Apple's the distributor, but you don't have to have Apple devices to watch it. So it's
right. Just like Apple TV, you don't have to have an iPhone. That'd be so limited.
I'm mainly curious to see how this deal ages. I think $2 billion for MLS right now is a huge leap in terms of investment from where they're at. It's also $2 billion over 10 years. So we're looking at about at least, and it could grow, but $200 million a year when you're looking at, obviously MLS isn't the NFL, but you're talking billions of dollars per year.
True.
In media rights. If you look at, Big Ten football, you're talking $1 billion a year in media rights for college football, which again, football dwarfs other sports for the most part in America. But how will this continue to grow? And 10 years from now, will $200 million be a steal for Apple compared to what it is now? I'm sure that's what Apple's banking on. But
I'm jacked, man. We're going to see some serious content show up in a month or so, and it's going to be it's just going to be fun. There's going to be so much. I don't know who was it that was were you on Twitter today? All that stuff I was just telling you about it. Did you read that already?
Remind me which stuff.
Oh, it was from Pablo Iglesias Maurer.
Oh, I don't know if I've read anything about them.
Let me read you this, by the way. This is going to blow your mind. Do you care about this? Do the
Go
people
for it,
care about this?
Yeah.
Pablo said, got my hands recently on a document MLS distributed to its clubs last month. In it, the league lays out expectations for what each of its clubs need to provide in terms of video content for this new Apple deal. I'll thread some details here. He says within MLS Season Pass, each club will have their own vertical. In this doc, they're being called club rooms. None of this content that's in these club rooms is exclusive to MLS Season Pass. A lot of it might get run on a club's social or website, etc.
Okay.
A few initial offerings, The Ritual, which seems to be a fan-focused piece that lays out club traditions, supporter culture, etc. There'll be a series of 2-minute-long profiles on a dozen of each club's players to run all year, and a 5-episode series on iconic players, coaches, etc. Few more here. Bear with me. Are you having fun? Are you having fun right now?
Absolutely.
I see in your face. You're having joy. A minimum of 5 classic club moments pieces, which look back at a club's history, at least 2 minutes long. The doc also lays out in-season content. It includes a weekly first team report, at least 3 minutes, basically just training updates, news, match previews, etc. Clubs have to deliver every post-game press conference for regular season, playoffs, and Leagues Cup match. Duh. Okay. Monthly content includes a community report focused on what each club is doing locally and an academy report. There's also an MLS Next Pro focus video offering 2 times a month during that league season. Last, league-wide, I've heard concerns from folks at clubs that this might be a bit too heavy of a load. Whatever the case, one thing is clear. Some clubs, the ones which already deliver great content to fans, are well equipped for this. Others will have to catch up.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
I'm pumped.
And I think Sporting is probably more one of the former clubs that already does a pretty decent job of putting out
I would think so.
content. There might be a little bit of investment here, but I don't think this is going to be too crazy. I mean, Sporting already does the behind the shield. Sporting just spent the entire last year figuring out how to self-produce matches. Like this, they have the infrastructure.
They've done like commercials for jersey announcements. They've done all sorts of media stuff like that. Right. I know it kind of lacked a little in the COVID situation and all that, but I think they're trying to get back to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think we'll get a little bit more behind the scenes look, obviously filtered, sort of like Hard Knocks is filtered for the NFL, but we'll get a little bit more behind the scenes look at various clubs. I think this will be cool. I think it'll even the media playing field across MLS, which, as they said, or as Pablo said, has not necessarily been level. So
listen, it's going to be bad for people with addictive personalities, such as yours truly, I will probably watch everything that's offered for like as many teams as I can, just being a freaking expert because it's so well produced. I know it's going to be good.
Come with a scouting report every game of
right?
the opponent that's coming, and you're gonna be like, I watched 17 hours of content this week, and this is everything I learned from training.
This is from the network that produced For All Mankind. That show is freaking crazy, bro. This is going to be nuts, man. They're putting Alan Pulido on the moon.
It's cool. I'm excited. The other couple little news and notes that I want to hit maybe before we call it good for this week. Maybe I don't know if this is necessarily the biggest league-wide roster transaction, but it might, at least definitely in terms of name. LAFC forward Gareth Bale has officially retired from professional soccer. He came to LAFC for half a year.
He's a legend.
Won an MLS Cup, scored one of the most impactful goals of LAFC's history, and then just peaced out and was like, okay, I'm gone.
Who knew this was his swan song, man? Who knew LAFC was his freaking legacy? Like, the man didn't have to do much, but he did what mattered. That freaking header at the end of that game, like,
oh my God.
Shit's just wild, man. He's a freaking club legend. LAFC's got quite the history there, and that's with that story.
So I guess the question is, because he scored 2 goals in MLS Cup, right? I think it was like at the end of regulation, toward the end of regulation, and I think again toward the end of extra time, if I remember. Sure? I thought so. Am I making that up?
I don't know enough to refute that, but I'm pretty sure you're wrong.
I thought he scored.
I don't know enough, but you're fucking wrong.
I thought he scored. Maybe he just scored another goal. I'm trying to remember.
I thought he just tied it up.
Let's see. Oh, you're right. He scored the 120th minute equalizer. He must have scored another game in the playoffs leading up to it or whatnot. But either way,
I was right.
Daniel Kooser was right.
That, like, dude, the feeling that gives you, like, in your bones to hear you're right. It matters from my co-host and from my wife, and it feels so good.
Oh, well, I guess that's good to know that Marissa and I are on the same level there.
Well, I don't hear it often, so let's not get ahead of ourselves.
There you go. Glad to be of service here. I mean, he was with the club for a very little time, but he helped them. Without him, they might not have won MLS Cup, even though he didn't even start that game. So
he hardly played all year. Like, it's hilarious.
Retire his jersey? Do they build a Gareth Bale statue outside of Bank of California Stadium, even though he was there for half a season?
It's so stupid, but why the hell not?
Do they, raise a banner with his face on it? Like, do something?
The man just comes in, wins U.S. soccer's biggest trophy, and done deal.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, he's only 33 years old. He's played for a long time, but he's younger than Roger. He's younger than Graham Zusi.
Yeah, Graham and Zeus should feel real good about themselves right now.
Outlasted Gareth Bale.
I know they didn't put the miles on their legs that he has, though. He's been on every national team, all the time, many Champions Leagues games,
But, I mean, Zeus played in a World Cup before Gareth Bale did, and played probably, more minutes because Wales didn't get to a knockout round.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. This is interesting. Gareth Bale, he said it was an honor to have this was LAFC's co-president and GM, said it was an honor to have one of the most talented, dynamic, and exciting players of his generation finish his career with a title for LAFC. So I don't know what he's going to do now, but
surprised he wasn't on Apple TV there.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he does end up doing media of some sort, probably back in Europe.
For sure.
EPL or whatnot. NBC could even hire him. I don't know, but
I just wish I knew conversations. I wish everything was everything and we just knew it all, because I want to know, like, how what did it take to get Gareth Bale here? Like, he had to have some sort of idea that he wanted to play in this World Cup and then he'd be done. And so he came here anyways, knowing he'd be done. I don't know. Yeah. It's weird.
I assume that LAFC had some level of knowledge that this might be it, but maybe not. Maybe they were caught off guard. Who knows? But
who knows, man?
We'll see. He does end his statement, Gareth Bale. He goes, "So I move on with anticipation to the next stage of my life, a time of change and transition and opportunity for a new adventure. ...
Oh.
So that makes it seem like maybe he's got something lined up. Who knows?
Wow.
But maybe he'll take over managing the Welsh national team. Who knows?
Okay.
Let's the last thing that I did want to touch on briefly that is a relatively big name for MLS fans is according to The Athletic, Atlanta United is finalizing a deal to buy out former MVP Josef Martinez, and this has been reported for a little while, but all indications seem to indicate that Josef Martinez is going to go sign with kind of rival Inter Miami. So
Wow.
this is an interesting move, especially since Inter Miami just lost Gonzalo Higuain, one of the most prolific goal scorers of all time. But this is, maybe the second act of Josef's MLS career that he might need to sort of get himself back into that golden boot conversation. I don't know.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, can Josef recapture the magic that he had with early Atlanta United teams alongside Miguel Almiron?
I mean, maybe, dude. He just didn't seem happy in Atlanta. He kind of felt like he was being held hostage, and just his quality of life wasn't doing well. So I guess that's probably better for the player, better for the club overall.
Yeah, he was a best 11 selection for 2017, 2018, and 2019. He was the club's top scorer in both 2021 and 2022. He missed all of the 2020 season except for one game. He only started 12 of 26 games last year under new manager Gonzalo Pineda. So it was pretty clear last year that this relationship had run its course. I'm curious to see if he can sort of go on a revenge tour with Inter Miami, who snuck into the playoffs last year. Atlanta United did miss the playoffs. So this is interesting. I don't know. He's one of the bigger stars in MLS. So I'm kind of curious to see how this all shakes out. And it would be, quite poetic if he somehow were able to help Miami overcome Atlanta United and continue to improve as Atlanta falls apart.
No doubt.
So that's all the biggest news I think that I have this week that we've talked about. What, you got anything else you want to talk about this week?
Oh, I don't know, man. Not really. I'm in a musical.
There you go.
I'll tell you that.
Personal promo.
Yeah, I'll just plug it later on as performances get closer. We'll just use this as my outlet to freaking advertise.
No other pod night to watch Daniel Kooser star.
Ooh, be crazy, man. Something Rotten. It's gonna be good.
There you go.
You know it? Do you know that show?
I don't know. I've heard of it, obviously. I don't know I'm not familiar with the soundtrack or the story or whatnot, but
gotcha. Well,
I've heard of.
You get yourself familiarized.
Okay, I will. Now that I know a star, I'm gonna have to.
I'm the star, bro. I am the guy. Top guy. Out.
Top billing.
Top billing.
Gonna have to make a little trip to Topeka and see it. So we'll see.
You do that? That's real friendship shit right there. That is real friendship shit.
There you go. Look at that.
We'd probably drive you there. Only make you drive to Olathe.
Who would have thought? Thank y'all so much for listening. We appreciate it. We are getting so close to actual sporting Kansas City soccer. We can taste it. We're just a little bit more than a month and a half away from the first game of the MLS 2023 regular season, and just a couple of weeks away from the first action of the 2023 preseason. But make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NoOtherPod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMax03 to stay up to date with all the latest news and happenings of sporting Kansas City. Shoot us an email, nootherpod@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube. It's at KCSN Soccer is the username on YouTube. You can see the video version of this that we're continuing to build and grow. So if you have not watched there, you can. That's something that we've been building with KCSN.
Or at least subscribe. Just go subscribe. Dude, there's already some subscribers up there who we didn't even tell to. They were just like, oh, these guys, absolutely.
For sure. So subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe to the podcast on wherever you get your podcasts. Leave that 5-star rating review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And we'll be back next week. Maybe with some more sporting Kansas City roster news. Maybe we'll start getting a teaser of what the 2023 primary kit will look like. That'll be coming out at some point in the near future. We'll see. But whatever the news is, we'll have it here. So until next time, he's Dan. I'm Jimmy. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.
Musical.